and Xi, why don't we make a deal? Canada's done this, I think we should too. We will let you sell 100,000 of your EVs here under a quota. If you walk around this country, you don't know that China actually builds EVs, but they do. They do it very well. If you go to Europe or Canada, you'll see more of them, especially Europe. We're going to let you export 100,000 EVs into this country. They're affordable. They're much better for the environment. They even charge pretty quickly. By the way, the CEO of Ford was caught on a hot mic saying, "I love my Chinese EV. Don't anyone try to take it away from me." But if you want to make this deal, and I think the Chinese would, you've got to share your production technology. You have to produce here. You have to engage in joint ventures, which, by the way, was happening in the Biden administration with battery production. There was a Ford project with a Chinese battery producer. And obviously, you have to be very careful about information and cybercrime. There's a lot of boxes you have to check. But I think that would be a real advance, and that would be a way to beat them in a game that they've been playing very well for a long time.
May I? I have to jump.
Please.
I have to jump.
I realize it's a controversial.
I have to push back very hard on that. So first of all, what I'd advise the president is what Xi Jinping says and what he does is two very different things. And I think that over the past 30 years, we in the West, I mean, I grew up in Nepal. If you've seen where Nepal is relative to China and India, we're a tiny Himalayan nation state between these two kind of mega powers in Asia. And we know very well what communism is and what the CCP is, and how what Xi Jinping says and does is very different from what the intent may be. And we know what Chinese policy is, right? And Secretary Panetta knows this too. They don't. It's to use technology as a means to overcome the great century of humiliation so that they can be the dominant world superpower. There's China's next generation AI development plan, which says they will be the leader in AI by 2030. Now, the reason why it's so horrible to ask the Chinese to bring their EVs here is because, again, I really want you to understand this point because it's very important as pertains to manufacturing and supply chains, is because when it comes to AI, right, you might think of AI right now as a chatbot, as something kind of that lives in the cloud or something that you talk to on your device. But this intelligence is increasingly going to be embodied in all forms of hardware. So that means that everything physical, whether it's your electric vehicle, whether it's robotics, whether it's your smart TV, is going to have an AI switch on it. So if you're bringing Chinese hardware into America,
which we're doing all the time.
Well, this is why we need to be able to manufacture and produce our own hardware. This is why, from a national security perspective, I'll give you an amazing example of how Mossad basically took out Hamas's entire leadership because they were able to penetrate the supply chain for their dumb pagers and were able to detonate them all. So it's extremely dangerous to have consumers using the hardware of a strategic rival, which can suddenly be switched on, and that intelligence can be imbued into that hardware, and it can essentially become a weapon, right? A weapon amongst the civilian population. But further to the point about industrialization and kind of the wrong premises we made about globalization, one of the biggest strategic blunders of globalization was offshoring our entire manufacturing base in the pursuit of efficiency. Because now, guess what? China is the world's factory, right? And one of the reasons, the United States was able to win in the Second World War was because of our industrial manufacturing capability. It went from, the 17th largest in the world to basically being able to scale up the production and the manufacturing that was needed to beat the Nazis. Now, of the industries of the future, batteries, EVs, all these critical industries, it isn't that China is just playing catch up. They've already leapfrogged ahead. So it is absolutely essential that we do not become dependent on China for the critical hardware of the future, because otherwise everything that matters in 10 years, we're going to have to not only ask China if we can have it, if they can manufacture it for us, but that hardware actually becomes a hugely dangerous surface area for kinetic attack.